Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Um, I'm Diane. This is my beloved life. Life is a good way to put it.
Well, Freudian slip.
My beloved spouse and the best part of my life. Here to talk to you today from the Where True Love Is movement. And what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about prayer. That's something that's been on your heart and mind, and so we thought we would talk about it with y'all this week. So, what do you think? What got you started thinking about this?
Something that happened with us this week was that our much loved pet, Rumple Pimple, who is pretty much known around the world and is a big part of our life, was suddenly diagnosed with bladder cancer and given 6 months to live.
Now, suddenly, he'd been sick for a few weeks, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose.
Right.
We've been worrying for a while.
He had a urinary tract infection. We just thought he needed the right antibiotic and it would clear up. So we brought him back, and they came out and gave us this diagnosis and sent us for tests the next day.
And she was quite confident.
She was.
It. I mean, she was clearly concerned, gave us a fact sheet about this particular kind of cancer, told us very specifically why and what she was seeing was lining up to that. So her confidence level was high, and we were terrified.
Yeah, pretty devastated. Pebbles is like our child.
Our eldest.
Yeah, like one of our children.
Eldest of the fur babies.
So we then went into scramble mode about what to do, and we sent messages to all the platforms that Rumple Pimple is on for prayer and best wishes and fingers crossed and whatever you do to send him positivity, because we were pretty worried that that's what it was.
Yeah.
So much so we started to even what would you say, look up all the diagnosis and the treatments.
Oh yeah, well we had to. I mean, the doctor was
to get prepared for the next day when the ultrasound was done, and they were going to tell us what seemed to us how bad it was.
Yep, that's what we expected.
So that's what we had expected, and overnight I got messages from more than 1,000 people who were praying for Rumple Pimple.
Some of them are you.
Some of them are y'all. And I was floored by the response, and even people who are not people of faith said that they were sending wishes into the atmosphere and crossing their fingers and their paws, but there were over 1,000 people who specifically said they were praying. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to the next day, we get him ready, and we have to sit in the parking lot because...
Sorry about that.
Whoops, we had a little blip, which happens sometimes. So anyway, back to where we were. We went to have him tested, and within a few minutes, the vet came out and said...
no sign of cancer, and had another explanation, which we won't go into the details because it's not that pertinent in this conversation, but no cancer showed up, which was a shocking, wonderful relief.
Yeah, so we were elated. We were so happy, and tears of joy were flowing, and he came out, and we hugged him and loved on him and paid the bill, and we're on our way. But during the ride home, we started to talk a little bit about the prayer. I've always been a person who prays a lot, but I've never quite understood it. And the older I get, the more I don't understand why certain prayers get answered the way that we want them to, and others don't. Others get answered a different way. And, I specifically thought of many Wire Fox Terrier owners and dog owners and people who prayed for their family and friends who didn't have the good outcome that we got. And why does that happen? And what is prayer to us, and what is prayer to you? So that's how this whole discussion started yesterday. You want to add a little bit?
Yeah, well, I've been wrapping up the latest devotional, which is on deconstruction. We're gonna have to, maybe next week we'll do we'll devote some time to talk about that book, but in that I do talk about prayer, and one of the things that is sometimes said is that that prayer is dependent on the amount of faith. If you don't have enough faith when you're praying, that your prayers are not going to be fulfilled. And we were part of a church that had that. Some of the people firmly believed that, although it wasn't preached from the pulpit. People in the sort of the healing ministry and healing leadership there definitely believed it was
definite mentality
connection, and that has always not rung true for me. I mean, the faith heroes, throughout the centuries are no longer living, and their families aren't, and the ones they love. And if it was connected to how much faith someone has, why aren't there people who are living thousands of years? Because clearly there are people who have lots and lots of faith. God is bigger than someone, I think, that who has that kind of a measuring stick. It's either that God has a measuring stick and doesn't fulfill with the requests of people if they don't have enough faith, whatever that specifically means, or it's actually connected to us, and it's not through through this power of love who's listening and acting. It's actually something that we're bringing about. It's kind of like a form of magic, I guess.
Well, if you look to the Bible for your source on prayer, you're going to have close to 400 verses talking about prayer. But my mind went today to Jesus in the garden, and no one could have had more faith or been closer to God than Jesus was. And he prayed and pleaded, so much so that they believe blood droplets came out of his forehead. And he also told us in the Bible to pray and you will receive whatever it is that you ask for in his name. So not only was he praying in his name, he was praying in his own voice, his own heart. And this was not the outcome of what he had asked for. So it's confusing. Prayer is confusing. I mean, we just don't know. I know somebody at another church that saw people being healed, and she wasn't, and thought she wasn't a good enough person. I just don't think that's what prayer is about. I mean, for me, prayer, I don't know what God's going to do. I don't know what the divine does with prayer, but I look at it as a conversation between me and God. And do I beg sometimes? Yes. Do I cry sometimes? Do I get angry? Yeah.
Do I yell sometimes?
I yell.
Usually not out loud. Once in a while, depending on what's going on.
I'm kind of like David with God. I rip everything off. And I mean, I was so upset when we heard about Rumple Pimple. But, I feel bad when we don't get what we want. But I also know that I want to talk to the divine about what it is that I want and what I like and what I love. And so I just kind of put it out there, and I'm not so sure what it is, and that's okay. And I kind of feel like if you're mad because God didn't answer a prayer the way you wanted it to be answered, that's okay. God's big enough to handle that, and there's reasons. I just don't know what they are, and it sounds like a platitude, but it isn't. I don't think it is. You have any more thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I mean, you are kind of a model of prayer for me, just because you're very conversational in your approach to the divine, and how you're just kind of constantly weaving in talk. I'm a little more, hey God, are you listening, kind of a person, where I also do it in and out of the day, I think, but less conversationally. I forget that there's this presence always within us, around us, and I have to draw my attention to that reality a little more directly. And I think that you're in much more close personal relationship, a casual, deep casual love, and I'm still a little bit with the divine kind of over there. And sorry, my hand got really big right there. The divine over there,
the Christmas tree,
the divine in the Christmas tree, and the whatever that tree is now, Valentine's tree, and me over here at a distance. So I'm trying to be increasingly aware of just that, the presence in constancy, and recognizing that, and having prayer be a little softer. There's nothing wrong with having those direct requests, and the beseeching and the outright thankfulness, but that's not the only kind. Just sitting. I think that God recognizes the ways that we are quiet and thankful, even when it's not during an official prayer where you're saying, hey God, I'm grateful for this, and this, and I would like this, and this, and I'm sorry for this, and this. I think that if we dispose ourselves to be available and ask that God consider every thought we have about a person that we love and we're concerned about, that we ask God to consider that a prayer, that every time that we're grateful, that we ask God to consider that a prayer, because I want my life to sort of be in tune with that presence of love
for the people. Well, I'll tell you, with all these people praying for Rumple Pimple and for us, I felt like they were holding our hands in hope. You know, they were holding our hands and holding our hearts. I could
And
feel it.
companionship.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't going to be good news, you know, that just that knowing that you were there with us walking through that, because so many situations don't turn out the way we want them to.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. I could feel that. I could feel that hope and that
Yeah.
encouragement. And I think that's really important about praying with each other and praying for each other. That there's something you feel that happens in the world when that's happening.
There's energy shifting in the universe.
So we come to you today grateful
Thank
for
you.
your support and your prayers for our much loved
Poochie
Nopal,
Pooch.
who's over there eating peanut butter on our couch.
And thank you for your support of this movement and your participation in it, and how much love and prayer you bring into the world and representation of God.
So prayer thoughts are always evolving.
Yes.
It is what it is.
Put in the comment thread how you view it. Continue staying safe. Get vaccinated as soon as you are able. All right, we're waiting.
Yeah, we are.
You take
Have
care.
a great week.
Bye bye.